Welcome to the History Roulette podcast, a new history podcast where you never know where you may end up. I'm your host, Marissa May Scott. Okay, so you're probably thinking, another podcast, even more so, another history podcast? Pause. Let me explain. Have you ever been reading a book or watching a movie in the history genre, and something you've read or watched makes you stop in your track and you just have to look it up? So you pause and you get your phone out to look it up. Then as you're looking at that particular thing, something else piques your interest. So you look that thing up and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's what this podcast is going to be like. But before I get too far ahead, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Marissa, a lifelong lover of history and a natural storyteller who has a degree in theater performance and history. My main focus of research in school was ancient Western civilization and early American history up to the late 1800s. During my time in school, I studied abroad in Rome, and I have been an 1860s living historian for too long to even know at this point. I have worked both in public history and educational settings, teaching history. As a performer, I've grown up loving stories and telling stories, and to me, that's what history is. One long story, full of some good highs and some bad lows. So, you may be wondering, where did the idea for this podcast come from? Let me tell you. It was during a research session one day. It's quite simple. That particular day, I was looking at the Romanovs, specifically Tsar Nicholas and his immediate family, and their ties to other European royal families during World War I. It then sparked a question. Was Russia ever involved in the American Civil War? The answer is yes. More on that later. At the time, I was working at a Civil War museum, and I wanted to tie the research back to the 1860s. That research then took me in other directions. History is complex and full of connections. You just have to be looking for them. You could start in one place and end up somewhere completely different. Like a roulette board, sometimes you never know where you will land when researching. There you have it. History Roulette podcast was born. So, what can you expect from this podcast? How I'm framing each episode is simple. We will start with one particular topic and research as we go, meaning we will be researching live during each episode. No script. Depending on what we find in our research, it may spark an interest in another topic, and so on and so forth. This is not a history podcast meant to be focused on one particular topic for each episode. It's meant to be organic and allow us to look at different topics as we research. That being said, depending on the day, we may find a topic that is really interesting and we may focus on that particular topic. My goal as your host is to create a fun environment, one where you as the listener will walk away knowing more about something you may not have known before. And I'd also like to add, at the end of every episode in the description, you'll be able to find the sources so that you too can go on a research adventure. I plan to put out one episode every other week on Wednesdays. Currently, History Roulette Podcast is live on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us on both platforms as History Roulette Podcast. And I'm planning to expand to all podcast platforms as we grow. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you don't miss out. So, I hope you will join me on this adventure. And I'll see you soon somewhere in history because you never know where you may end up.